This is a pair of 1980 Eljer Emblems. One of the, I think 1980 was the last year of this design. These are both freeze damaged. This one here, this piece of porcelain blew clean off the front of it. That's the only damage to that one. This one, on the bottom, is a plug where they, after the casting process, covered over it with some sort of cement. That cap blew off the bottom of it and cracked the porcelain. This one has more cracks than the other one. But they both came with seats. This one had a wood seat that was completely rotted away, and the bracket was still good, so the bracket's saved, but the rest of the seat's gone. Came with the caps. All 4 caps for each one. They each came with a tank lids, handles, and complete parts on the inside. This tank has not been cleaned. This is the condition it was. These are all the parts that came in it. This one has the same parts in it. So they were obviously in a house together. This tank is also cracked all the way through. This one is not. I don't remember where the dates are on the tanks. April 6th, 1980. I filmed these a while ago when they first came in, and those clips will be after this. But they both leak. They both will not hold water for a long period of time. You can see it leaking. I have a plug in there, but it's obviously not going to be perfectly sealed unless I do it right. But the tank's full. Here's a normal flush. I have some clips of the other one as well. They're identical. Just inside the tank of this one and the tank lid. This tank lid has a bunch of hairline cracks in it. The date on this one's upside down. It's right there. This one's tank bolts were cut off. This one still had them, but it didn't have any nuts on it. So I found a set of nuts and a set of washers that fit, and it still has the tank to bowl gasket that came on it. It's gonna fill slightly above the water line, but not by much. And you can see the tank does not supply water to the bowl. That's how I have it set up. Both of these sat in the upright position, so when water entered the siphon jet channels, it cracked both of them. But I don't think their trapways were compromised in any way, and both of their cracks can be repaired. I'm overfilling the tank so it fills into the bowl. See it coming out of the handle. These are some cheapy handles, like a lot of them have. These fill valves aren't that old. I don't know if that's the 333rd day of 2020, maybe. I'm not really sure. Here's a overfilled flush. Siphon jet channel, specifically the exit on these, is very large. So if you give them a lot of water, they go down quick. I have a few more test materials than I did last time, so I'm going to put some of that through it after all the previous clips I've recorded of these play first. This is a small all cotton rag, and it should take this with absolute ease. It's the first time I've ever seen it even slightly struggle on that, but that's the way it took it down. So now I'll try 2 shop rags. They're very thin. It does take them separately, but it passes them both through. Tank's full. See how it does. Wow, it took it just fine. The trapway on this is relatively large, and I think it's relatively unobstructed as well. That's a surprise, but it did do it. So now I'm going to try a grass test, as most of the dirt here is relatively wet, but I will do that as well. This is a good test for bowl clearance, not as much bowl rinse. But let's see how it does. And it seems like there's probably a jet plugged back there. Is there a set of jets here? No, maybe it just misses that section. Bowl clearance isn't horrible. I've definitely seen worse, and that was a lot for it to take. But it did well. So now let's try a dry dirt test. Yes, I will clear the rest of this grass out of here. It may actually fill up with enough water with the camera rolling that I'll just flush it with this clip. This tank fills a little bit on the slower side. Not sure if it's because of the valve or the larger tank. Okay, it's relatively close to the water line. Let's see if both of those jets in that back area are working. It looks like it misses a little bit of a section back there, and I wonder if that one does the same thing. If it's to do with the casting, but let me go grab some dirt and we'll try that. The dirt wasn't as dry as I'd like it to be, but it does cover the whole bowl. So let's see how it does on this. So that's that little section back there again, which it may be a blocked rim jet or literally may be a wrongly punched rim jet. It cleared almost everything out. Those little specks aren't much. So it did pretty well on that. Now let's try some of the small objects I have, including 2 golf balls and lots of small caps. There are all the objects. Let's see how it does. Looks like it passed them all through. Yep, everything's there. A better way to do this test would be golf balls. See if it can carry 20 golf balls or 15 golf balls through. I only have 2 at the moment, so those objects help to identify also floaters, other things that may not sink. It still hasn't even cleaned that dirt off. So, must be a bad jet there. The only other test I could see doing on this are a clogged siphon jet and an absolutely full tank. So let's try a clogged siphon jet. See if the rim jets are powerful enough to make it siphon. So we'll try this two different ways, with a normal tank and with a fuller tank. So let's try normal. As I expected, it didn't siphon, as these trapways are relatively large, so they require that large siphon jet to do anything. So now, I'm going to try filling the tank all the way up. The fill valve wedged open. These overflow tubes are actually too high, as it comes out of the handle and the rear of the tank before it starts overflowing out of the tube. So let's try it with an overfilled tank. About the same result. So I'll remove the plug and let the tank overfill again, and we'll try it with just the siphon jet open normally. With the tank overfilling again and a rag placed in there. See how it does with this. It's really about all I can do with this guy. I ran some tests on the other one sitting next to it. Those clips were before all these, but there's no real reason to test the other one, as they will perform about the same. I can test the other one. I can put it through some things, and maybe I will just do that, see if it does any differently than this one. But it drags it on a little bit longer than it needs to be, but we can see if it performs any differently. So I'll turn off the water to this one, and I'll get it disconnected, and I'll place the other one on the stand. With the other emblem off and the other one on the stand with the same tank, this one is damaged in a different way, and this was just a temporary repair to make it flush, which does work, and it does leak because this is holding the piece of porcelain on, but obviously around the porcelain there's pressure and water will push around it. But this works well enough. I'm gonna overfill the tank again and give this one a dry flush. See some spider webs down in there, and actually a spider's still living in there. Well, he's about to get flooded out. That's all right. Not gonna fill the whole tank up. See how it does. This one definitely sounds a little bit different than the other one. And you can see the water leaking out where it's cracked. So let me give it a flush when it's filled up to its normal water level. Let's fill it up to the water line, see how it does. I'm not sure if this one siphons any slower than the other one. It does siphon more of its water out. So I'll put put some of the rags through it. This cotton rag should be relatively easy for it. Took it right through. Both went through. Now the other one, taking the larger dish rag, was a surprise, so let's see if this one could do the same thing. I did some of this test off camera, and this is about what it does every single time. The other one performed similarly, but for some reason passed it. I'm going to increase the water level using this. I'm just going to spin it all the way up, which should fill relatively close to the top of that fill tube. And try it again. Tank's almost full all the way to the top. See if it takes it this time. Trapway is physically big enough to fit it through. It just has to take it correctly to get it through the opening right there. So I'm going to lower the water level again. And we'll try the grass test as the last one for this one, as it'll perform the same with the objects in the dirt, most likely. That was with the water level lowered back down just a little bit above the water line. This one actually seemed to do a little bit worse, and that's because this one takes a little bit longer to siphon down than the other one does. The quicker pull down and siphon allows it to clear more out once it gets to the bottom. Since this one spends more time swirling everything around before it gets down, it has less time to clear it out with the water it has left. Now, since the bowl is not full, I don't expect it to take this down, but cleared that section back there, but missed that section there. So this one doesn't have that issue, but it has this front problem here. So let's see if it takes the rest of this. It took most of it. Something to note, I was holding the handle open from this point. As it siphoned, I felt it vibrate a little bit. So it must have either a strong siphon or a violent pull as it goes through. There's not much else I could really do with this one that I haven't done to the other one. The block siphon jet test will yield the same results. Probably worse, since it'll just push more water out of there. But I can flush it with the overfilled tank. So I'll adjust this. And I'll wait for it to fill up. Tank is overfilled. See how it does. This one seems to like the overfilled tank a lot more than the other one does, which shows the differences in older castings and older molds. They're gonna have differentiations. Even if they're minor, they will affect performance. The other one, with the standard water level, does just fine. I'm not saying this one does not, but as you can see there, it preferred the higher water level, as when it got to the bottom and siphoned out, that's when the flapper shut. And this does have a standard flapper in it. What I will do is let it fill up to the water line in the bowl and in the tank, and as soon as it hits that, I'll let it go again. Looking up from the bottom, this is a relatively tight turn, but it doesn't get very small, it's just tight. The back of the trapway is smaller than the entrance, so that may be part of the restriction. Got the water line, see what it does now. You can hear when the flapper shuts on this one. So there's not much else I can do with these. These 1980 blue Eljer Emblems, the last of this generation before they switched over to, in my opinion, this is my favorable design over the later generation, the one after this one. These have the older design. Resembles an older look. That's it.